You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to the program. Joining me now, Arkansas's Treasurer of State, Larry Walther. Good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you, Roby.
How are you?
I'm doing quite well.
Good. You've had a little over a year on the job there. You feel like you finally mastered the office at this point in time?
Well, let me say this. We had some objectives when I came in.
Yeah.
And, it was a very unfortunate circumstance that I was asked to be the treasurer of the state, but I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the people especially. There's some great people that work at the Treasury Department, and they've made me look really good.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the circumstances that led you in there. Just to remind everybody, Mark Lowry had been elected as Treasurer of State, had a stroke, I think had a second stroke, eventually passed away. Governor Sarah Sanders appointed you to fill out the rest of that term. We have had a special election, and Secretary of State John Thurston is now going to be sworn in as Treasurer of State in January. So you'll be moving on to something else in January. Let's talk a little bit about what I remember when I sat down with you at first, and you were walking into the office for the first time, and you were dealing with obviously a staff that was emotionally drained and had been dealing with this. Kind of how did you cope with that right out of the gate?
It went real well. It was, I think, just having the treasurer named and taking over that position was a calming effect on the office of the treasurer and the men and women there. Someone who's in charge and could go and make the final decisions on issues that need to be resolved, and so that helped a tremendous amount. Just the fact that I was there and able to do that.
Yeah. So a couple of the things that you said you wanted to do when you got in there, I'm going to quiz you. I got notes from all of that there. Is that no, you should be in trouble. Financial education was a big deal for you.
Right.
You had been involved with that before you were Treasurer of State. Tell me a little bit about what you've done on that front.
Okay, there were several things that we talked about back then. One of those was financial education. Knowing, my background, economics, I enjoy education. I'm on the board of a college, so education has been important to me. That was one of those things that was instilled in me by my mother a long time ago, and it never wavered.
You're the kind of guy that balances his checkbook to the penny, aren't you?
So.
Just like my father. I would say, Dad, you're 2 cents off. It's 2 pennies, No, I got to get it to the penny.
And I've got to find that penny.
That's right.
I'm in trouble. So what we did, obviously Arkansas is not doing well when you look at us nationwide in terms of financial literacy. And what I did is I started to talk to the treasurer, and we went out, my team and I went out and visited 8 different cities in the state of Arkansas. Went and spent a whole day with them. Started out with like the business leaders, the superintendent of the schools, the mayor, state reps and senators and the like, and spent a morning with them talking about the issue of financial literacy and what they saw as problems and possible solutions. In the afternoon, we met with students. Sometimes they were high school students, sometimes they were college students. Amazing how smart they are and how concerned they are with financial literacy. So we went out and gathered this information from them, came back to Little Rock, and then after we had finished all 8, we brought in selective people from each of those locations and set them down for a day, talked our way through it, came up with some recommendations that we presented to the Arkansas Financial Education Commission, and we've got a path for doing something in Arkansas to make a difference and provide a vehicle for people to study and understand financial literacy and the proper techniques.
Yeah. One of the things the Treasurer of State does is kind of oversees the state treasury, which are investments for the state of Arkansas. I think if I got my numbers right here, that record-breaking return on investments in 2023 with $154.7 million in earnings. Another huge record at the end of fiscal year 24, $368 million in earnings. You going to top it this year before you leave office?
Well, we have announced the first quarter of fiscal year 25, and it was $101 million.
All right, so you're on track.
We're on track of beating it again. There are reasons for these records.
Yeah, what do you attribute all that to?
Yeah, well, the investment team does an outstanding job. They understand the marketplace. They've done it professionally in private sector, and so they're extremely competent. So they're working to invest our money to get the best return on it and safety. You do know that the first thing I'm concerned about is the preservation of our capital. So that's the first thing. The next thing is I've got to pay the bills of the state of Arkansas. So we have to have liquidity. The third thing is the earnings on the money. So, but they're doing an outstanding job on earnings. The investment that we have to earn on has increased. Just the last year and a half that I've been there, we've added about $1.5 billion to the investment portfolio. Also, the interest rates have been extremely high because of the inflation that's been going on within the country.
Right.
And so, but those two things, along with our ability to do a good job in investing, have caused us to have this type of return. But what I would like to also say is I wish we didn't have that kind of return, because if we can get the inflation rate down, that money goes from us building it in, where we are in the state, to putting it in the taxpayer and citizens of this country's pocket when they are not having to pay more for groceries, more for fuel and all those other things as the inflation rate goes down.
Well, I keep up with it. I mean, inflation is coming down, and interest rates at least are ticking a little bit. At least the Fed funds rate is ticking down a little bit. We'll see if it comes down much further. I think we're in for a period of higher interest rates for a while. Yeah. So we're not going back to sub 3% mortgages anytime soon.
I don't think we are. I was talking to the staff about that earlier this week. We expect another maybe 0.25% next month, but it's not clear that there's much ahead in 2025, which means that they're going to be still high. But again, you understand what I'm saying. I would rather us have low interest rates out there and make a somewhat less on our portfolio than because I think everybody in the country would be better off.
Yeah. All right, lastly, you guys do oversee the 529 plan for the state. That's another charge of the Treasurer's Office. Kind of explain what that is for everybody and how you've handled that. It's
actually a jewel of state government and actually federal government. We have a savings plan that allows the citizens of Arkansas and other states to save over time to provide the finances for their children or their grandchildren or their friends' children, however it might be, to go to college or go to trade school once they get out of high school. And it's just one of those things that it makes so much sense. You get a tax deduction, or not a tax break on it when you do it, like a 401k type, and it makes so much sense. And how much do you think the people of Arkansas have in the 521 plan? How many dollars do you think are in the plan right now that will be available when their kids become eligible to or need the money for trade school or college?
Yeah, I was told there'd be no math in this interview, Larry, so I
don't know. Just a guess.
So.
What if I told you it's 1.5 billion?
There you go.
That's Arkansas.
That was going to be my second guess. So,
that's his yeah. Well, it's amazing. When I heard that, I said, "You got to check those numbers."
It's a lot.
But it's a lot, and that really makes me feel good that there are a lot of people out there, and you can do it on your own. You can start your own 529 plan, or you can if you're using someone who helps you with your finances, they can do it for you and set it up.
I got about 60 seconds left. What's next for you after January? What are you going to do?
Roby, my life, especially since I retired from AT&T SBC, has been about service, and it's been in public service mostly, although I do other things. I'm going to continue to serve somewhere, and you know, our church does a lot of things in the community. We feed a lot of people, we clothe a lot of people, you know, we minister to a lot of people. So that is obviously a possibility. So I'm looking forward to you know continuing what I've learned as a Boy Scout. Remember, I told you I was an Eagle Scout.
That's right.
And that's one of those things that you just, it's been instilled in me my entire life, and I like to give back to people. I like to see prosper. In my job, I want to empower my organization to do the work. I don't want to have to do the work for them, and that's kind of what I like doing.
All right, Larry Walther, Treasurer of State. Always good to visit with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for stepping up and filling in the time of need there.
I appreciate it.
All right, we're back with more right after this.